Kia ora. Welcome to the Bay of Plenty Referee podcast. I'm Sam.
I'm Sean.
I'm Jamie.
And I'm James.
Every week during the season, we'll bring you referee interviews, news, our education recap, and an interview with one of our members.
Tonight's guest is James Grieve from Auckland, who's been down with us over the weekend as part of our Interchange, and he has certainly put in a solid effort while he's been here. James took the whistle in the middle and then backed it up by running the sideline as an AR afterwards, which really speaks to the value of these exchanges, turning up, getting involved and contributing wherever needed. He's an active match official in Auckland across both club rugby and secondary school rugby, so he's used to operating in fast-paced environments where communication, accuracy and game management all matter. It's always great to get that outside perspective and compare notes on how things are tracking in other provinces. James, thanks for making the trip down and for the effort you've put in across the weekend. Really appreciate it, and welcome to the Bay of Plenty podcast.
Cheers, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Nice, mate. Great. Jamie, as usual, how was the weekend? You have a busy desk this morning, or Monday morning, sorry?
No, not so busy as the last few weeks. I guess it was just tidying up from this interchange in the weekend. Just trying to get some scoop on what the boys got up to on that Saturday night. But no, a pretty clean desk on Saturday. On Monday. So nice and easy from there.
And you end up having a game on Saturday?
I didn't know. Late Friday afternoon, our other mate, Yako from Auckland, his game ended up getting defaulted to. So instead of mucking around with the appointments Friday night, I decided to, at the goodness of my heart, to give him my game, which meant that I was able to get out and watch some referees that I probably wouldn't have been able to see if I was refereeing. So,
as well as organising interchange and everything, obviously.
Yeah. So organising, we had a coaches meeting that Saturday morning as well that I was able to pop into after my young fella played in the under-8s, and so I was able to go to that. A first 15 game where one of our new referees, Cam from Dunedin, was refereeing, and then out to Te Puke to watch the two counties referee. So all in all, pretty good weekend. And again, always easy on a Monday when you're sitting around going, there's no red cards to deal with. So it's always a bonus.
Well, it's the first one this year, isn't it?
I think it might be.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the trend for the rest of the year, but we'll see what happens. We'll wait till Sean gets another game. We'll see what happens. Sean, yourself, mate, on the weekend?
No, mate, no footy. For me, just another weekend at work, so not very exciting for me. How about you, Sam?
Yeah, well, you came along to the function as well, didn't you? The dinner on Saturday night, so a little bit of rugby-related things, not necessarily refereeing. Yeah, I was in Tapuna versus Greerton. It was a pretty try-for-try game. I think it ended up 47-35 or 36 or something, so pretty close. And yeah, lots of tries, lots of running. Yeah, throwing the ball around was what you want on a hot day. It was pretty warm out there, felt like almost pre-season, and it was awesome to have James ARing for me and get that opportunity to watch him run around too. So yeah, that was cool. And then headed to the aftermatch, well, the actual aftermatch, and then our aftermatch, I suppose, and have some drinks and food with the crew that had come in from counties in Auckland. So it was always good there, and to catch up with a few of the Bay refs. How about you, James, mate? I've probably stolen your thunder about telling what happened, but how was your weekend? What did you get up to in and around refereeing? Because you came down on Friday, I believe.
Yeah, so cruised down Friday afternoon after work, which was nice. Met the three other boys. Obviously knew Yako, but then met the two counties boys just at our hotel room. Just a pretty cruisy Friday night watching the footy. As a Highlander supporter, it was a really tough watch. So lucky I wasn't near any of you Chiefs boys. And then, cruised over to Blake Park on Saturday morning to meet the coaches and Jamie and co. And then out to Tapuna for Tapuna vs Greerton Prem Development. Always good to get down to a different region and referee the same grade, what ultimately is a very different style of rugby that gets played compared to what we're used to back home. A lot of running, a lot of infield kicking. Made sure the legs were ticking over nicely, and then AR'd for you, Sam, which was again another different game of Premier footy that I'm not used to. It was just good to experience that and experience the way you referee compared to a few of the boys back home.
Nice, mate. And how many seconds did it take for your first yellow card in your game, mate?
93.
93 seconds, nice, yeah.
Good old late shoulder charge on the halfback.
Yeah, nice, mate.
Just to really warm into it.
Perfect. Great, we'll jump on to our education session now. So this week we had the scrum focus. So last week we talked about the technical, and this week we talked about the tactical pillar. So that was led by Matt. again. I think he's just trying to do lots of these to rack up the points for his team. And we had a good turnout. I'd like to say it was 4 scrums, but I think the lure of team T-shirts probably drew a few people in. So, yeah, Jamie, what high level, what did we cover, mate?
Yeah, again, looking at their technical awareness, we also covered this in our Rotorua meeting last night too. So we're good to see we're all on the same page. And just to touch on Eastern Bay, they caught up over teams last week. So, yeah, looked at what technical awareness is and what it's meant by, and having some examples there. Also touched into, if you go back a couple of months, about a month or so now, we looked at the decision, these non-decisions, and we also covered there when we looked at the technical awareness of the tackle, ruck and maul. So that was, again, that observe of the technical awareness. The technical is our process, and then making a decision or a non-decision. So either we act on it, we play advantage, or we play on. We also touched on our advantage and what advantage is and the definition of advantage. So getting a little bit more into that law.
Nice. Yeah, and I think I'll make sure that what you just said comes up magically across you in the edit, but also I think that in the tactical space, kind of those 3 pillars like we talked about in the tackle, ruck, maul of, the relevance or materiality of the player actions, then the impact of other players' actions, and then the applying the concept of dominance and pressure. I think it led to quite a good discussion in that. Actually, just because something is technically wrong, it doesn't mean that we need to blow it. And hopefully, if people missed it, they can jump on. Well, they will be able to jump on and check out the PowerPoints, which had some great videos of scrums that went backwards or something went wrong, but actually playing away was the best thing, or other times playing away wasn't. And so they've got all the notes there to help, so can jump on that. But and then the advantage and the empathy thing that I think we talked about last time when we talked about tactical as well, is that understanding what teams are trying to do, where they are on the field, if they're really struggling at scrum time or they're really trying to get something done at scrum time. I think that's what really takes referees to the next level, isn't it? Is that understanding that empathy, and that actually we're refereeing humans and we are humans, and that's probably what makes rugby great, as opposed to a game that was refereed very technically and by robots or something.
Yeah. So next session, next week, we'll look at the management side of the scrums and just close the loop on that. So that'll be pretty good for some of our new ones that have been heading along to our meetings.
Nice. Yep. Great work. And yeah, great lead there. And also, got our team jerseys. I don't know if you can see the ripping the Wizards. Yeah, it was good to get those as well. So thanks, Jamie, for sorting that out, and FMG for funding them, and Design Juice for hooking us up with socials. So sweet. Jumping on to the referee news, I think, Sean, you've got some take us away talking about touch and rugby.
Yeah, mate. So NZ Rugby and Touch New Zealand have announced a landmark partnership formally recognising touch as the official non-contact summer format of rugby in Aotearoa. So what this does is effectively bring together what's always been connected informally, creating a year-round rugby ecosystem, from touch in sevens in summer through to club and school rugby in the winter. And there's over 150,000 touch players in New Zealand, so this is a big play from NZR to keep people in the game who might not want to play full contact rugby. So it's pretty cool to see that connection coming through.
And we see lots of our refs come from touch as well, don't we? And particularly refs who have really good whistles seem to come from touch, don't they? But yeah, I think that's probably quite a good play from them, because I think it's connected to the NRL in Australia. So I kind of thought that would be the probably natural, with the roll of the ball and things like that. But yeah, it's probably quite good from both of them to be connected and, provide an opportunity. Because I think some of those other non-contact forms probably would never take off as much as touch, which has its own, culture and everything around it.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in this space. Obviously, we were unaware of it until it got brought out into the media. So I guess it takes time to all come out, and probably be a couple of years until we really get into the nuts and bolts of it. But it will be interesting to see what this partnership aspires to. If anyone thinks of a doping ban rules play off the Rugby World Cup, we had a bit of a stitch up here. South African born. Anyone want to have a crack at this name? I cannot say it. James, you want to have a crack, mate?
No, I'll leave that to you, Jamie. I think you're well placed to nail that.
South African born prop, I will not have a crack because I don't want to go down that line. Yeah, he's been handed an 18-month suspension for anti-doping violation, positive for banned substances, including DHEA. Is that how you say it, Sean? come across that in your line of work?
I like how you look at Sean like he would, like, yeah, illegal drugs, mate. Do you know about those?
I think I think Sam puts them into his calves.
Oh, yeah, very good. With the sanction running from 13th of May 2026 through to November 2027. So this rules them out of the Rugby World Cup in 2027 unless they appeal the decision and it is successful. So World Rugby coming down hard on a player that's been tested positive for banned substances.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's off the back of, I think, a few players from Georgia I was hearing the other day have got banned. So they do their, well, what happened is that they do their urine samples and then they keep them, just in case they want to test them again. But they found out that the doctor was swapping his own urine samples for the Georgian rugby players, like just before the Rugby World Cup. So, I mean, it seems a bit bizarre that you'd be like cheating if you're Georgia, but I think they tied with Fiji or something, didn't they? So maybe that was what they were up to. But yeah, another rugby doping one. So it'll be interesting. Next one I've got is Eddie Jones. So Eddie Jones usually is quite a reasonable guy, and I couldn't believe this when I saw it, but he was abusing some match officials. But if you get a chance to see the video, it's pretty bad. He's really going after them. So during an under-23 tour. So what I think is really good is that Japan's gone pretty hard on it. I think lots of unions kind of protect their coaches, like a South Africa or something. More probably, I reckon we would if it was in the same situation. I'd hope we wouldn't, but I think New Zealand rugby probably would. But yeah, in Japan, they weren't having any of it. So they've suspended him and reduced his salary for verbally abusing match officials in an Australian tour. So it wasn't even in Japan. So yeah, was suspended for 6 weeks from all coaching duties. I mean, he's banned for 4 matches. Yeah, has that financial penalty as well as an ongoing reduced salary, and he had to issue a public apology. And it was funny because his apology was like pretty soft as well. It was, that he acknowledged that his remarks caused discomfort to officials. He didn't go any further than that, which was a bit of a cop out. But I think he got a pretty good sanction from the union that employs him. Yeah, I thought that was good from Japan.
Just talking about Japan, the under-20s are in New Zealand at the moment.
Yeah.
Playing tonight actually in Taupo at Owen Delaney Park against a Hawke's Bay development team. And apparently the fog is quite thick, kind of like the old Super Rugby final back in the day.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of interesting for our referees to try and see any infringements or play in a deep fog. So I'm not too sure who's refereeing it, but I've seen some videos and it's pretty dark and gloomy down there.
One way to make our job a little bit harder, take away visibility.
Yeah.
And over to some World Rugby stuff. So there's from the 1st of June 2026, World Rugby is introducing a new law application guideline focused on the maul. So importantly, this is not a law change, but guidance aimed at a problem we all recognise, which is players ending up on the wrong side of the maul and disrupting play without competing. The key points for referees is if the contest for the ball is effectively over, players must leave the maul or rejoin legally from the correct side. So World Rugby has acknowledged the maul has become difficult to referee, hard to manage, and confusing for players and fans. So it's a good one to see coming in and hopefully tidy up that space.
Yeah, and so the key for that is that it's from competitions that start after the 1st of June, so we probably won't see it in our club rugby, but I imagine for rep rugby, well, it will come in for rep rugby, but watching the videos, I think it's probably quite consistent with what we do. If there's those players there and they're kind of pulling rather than pushing, we just tell them to get in and around, and so I think it's just enforcing that a little bit just to clean up the maul defence a little bit. So I don't think a massive change, but yeah, good to,
Right. There's still some ongoing scrutiny of officiating decisions. So there's been continued scrutiny of officiating in the Super Rugby, particularly around a non-try decision in the Reds vs Chiefs match. I'm guessing that was from a few weeks ago. Reds being the home team, I probably didn't stay up late enough to watch it, but officials have defended the process, noting that correct protocols were followed and no clear and obvious evidence existed to overturn the on-field call.
Yeah, so that was Marcus Playall's game that he had, not the weekend just gone, but the weekend before, and so it was pretty rough. There was some boos from the crowd and things like that, and as those Australian commentators do, they kind of really went after him, but it was good to see that the Super Rugby kind of came out late, ended up being late last week. So after we did the pod last week, to say that actually he was right. So they were talking about, well, actually he should have watched all the angles and blah, blah. But as we know, you need clear evidence. And so there was no evidence that the ball was down over the line. There was evidence it was down, but there was no camera angle that showed that that was actually over the line. So it was good that they came out and backed him on that. But, it was pretty ruthless there. And when I watched the replay of the whole game, just the way that the crowd behaved was pretty intense for him. So hopefully he's doing all right. And, he's been pretty smashing it this year. So, just tough to get one of those games, isn't it? And then the next one I have is it's from Rugby League, actually. So New South Wales Rugby League's got a back to districts program. So their elite officials have gone back and helping out grassroots referees. So I really included that there because it was like sold as this massive initiative in Rugby League. But I was like, well, actually, most meetings on a Monday night, we end up having pro referees or international or national squad referees just at our meetings all across the country. It's just the normal thing that happens. And I'm sure, James, that you guys get it all the time in Auckland. So I just included it there because I thought it was quite interesting that NRL was making this massive deal about it. And I was like, that's just basically par for the course for us, that those guys and girls just regularly come back and contribute to our meetings.
Yeah, it's like pretty stock standard. Like you see the likes of Paul Williams and Ben O'Keefe on a yearly basis do a game or two games back in whatever region that they're based in at the time. And then the NRL's making I think it's good. Probably helps them and from a league background, but probably just shows about we're probably a little bit further ahead in that space.
And a new global Ultimate Sevens competition has been announced, so one to keep an eye on, particularly from a refereeing game evolution perspective. A brand new global competition called Ultimate Sevens has been announced, launching in August 2026. So this has been positioned as a modernised high-intensity Rugby Sevens championship featuring 6 clubs, men's and women's, for 4 tournaments across European cities. A short format model with 10-minute matches, including 1 time-out per team, and a straight knockout structure with midweek weeknight events. So the aim is pretty clear: to repackage Sevens into a faster, more broadcast-friendly product with the world's best players in a more condensed, entertainment-driven format. So it'll be an interesting one to see how that goes. I'm assuming that might have been an idea that came out from that Indian Sevens league that they were kind of talking about. Sounds pretty similar. So a European model of that will be interesting to see how that goes. It's 10-minute games with just a time out per team is interesting, but hey.
Yeah, I got down a bit of a rabbit hole on it today, actually. And I looked into the Indian ones. Apparently it did actually happen last year, and then it's supposed to happen this year, but I couldn't find any more information about it. But the idea around the Ultimate Sevens, which World Rugby's approved to happen, is that they have it like every Thursday night for 4 weeks, and what they've done is that they said that they've contacted all the top 150 players, and they're going to do a draft or something, kind of like the Indian Premier League, and that the teams are loosely going to be grouped, like based on have an Oceania team, have a French team, have a Celtic team, an English team, a broader Europe team, an Americas team, or something like that. Try to do it that way. So it'll be interesting to see if that works. I was like, based on like how Sevens goes, I can't imagine like a England on their own team is going to be very strong compared to like an Oceania team. But anyway, I thought the 10 minutes was quite interesting. So you're just 10 minutes, like no, not 5 each way or anything like that, and then you can have 1 timeout each if you want. And also for kicks at goal, like rather than, I guess if you take the kick from wider than where you scored, then you can get more points. So if you score under the post, you can decide to take it from the sideline if you think you're that good at drop kicking, and you can get more points. And so I think they've got a whole bunch of out there more ideas that they've got for rules. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, or if that gets going. But something new.
All right, and that's it for our news. So now we're going to jump into our quick fire question section with James. James, I'm going to start it off, mate. Why did you get into refereeing?
So played when I was younger, like probably a lot of us did, and then stopped playing. Played when I lived in the UK. Came back when I was 10 years old and stopped playing for a number of reasons, mainly being about 25 kilos and under 45 kilo grade, and being a very different brand of rugby in New Zealand to the UK. So when I was about 20, decided that it was time to pick up the whistle. My old man used to referee, so that was a bit of a motivating factor, along with the fact just a really good way to stay fit and just keep involved in the game and stay connected where it doesn't involve having to run the short ball.
Nice, mate. Apart from being on this podcast, because this is now your new favourite highlight, any other referee highlights, mate, across your time?
Yeah, it's probably a close second to this podcast, but having the opportunity to referee on Eden Park the last 2 years, doing a final on that's been pretty cool. So that's definitely up there. And then just being able to doing interchanges like the one on the weekend. I've been lucky enough to go to Wellington and Christchurch, the Bay a couple of times, just going to referee somewhere different and meeting different people, and the different brand of rugby that we have across this country is a pretty unique thing that we're able to do in this space.
Obviously never refed at the Tauranga Domain before.
Not yet. Haven't been lucky enough.
Yeah, nice.
That's the one step up from Eden Park. So
Probably
you've talked a little, you've talked a little bit about it at the start. So what was your interchange like? In, I guess, what's the process for coming along to an interchange? Do you get selected, or does an expression of interest come out? So 2 questions there.
Yeah, so our interchange was fantastic. Like I touched on before, it's always good to meet referees from different regions, catch up with the likes of yourselves who I've known throughout the 7 Circuit over the last few years, catching up, meeting new referees that you don't know through that region, and getting to talk to them and their experiences around rugby and refereeing. In terms of how it comes along, we just normally at the start of the year, our referee manager, Matt Herring, and our panel facilitators will flick out a note saying, these are the regions that we're going to, this is where our interchanges are, these are the dates, kind of who's interested, kind of pick the ones that the dates that work and the areas that you want to go to. And then from there, I think they just go through a process and send you where's the best fit. I make it pretty easy. As long as I'm available, I say I'm available for these dates and just send me wherever you want.
Right. And who is your favourite referee?
Current or of all time?
Either.
You can do one of both. You can do one of each. You can do
current. Will go Angus.
You can
current
do
will go Angus
favourite
Gardner.
referee that's on this podcast.
Sean. Current Angus Gardner, and then of all time we'll go Keith Brown.
3 great choices there.
I think that's the first
Obviously
one.
from like top to bottom, mate.
I think that's
as
the
long as
first
you don't
time
ask me to
someone on
rank
this
yours.
podcast has selected Sean.
I've got to be nice to the local copy. Gets ripped on enough.
And over your time, mate, have you come across a favourite law that you like or you dislike or anything like that?
Favourite law, haven't had it pop up in a game yet, and probably because I really want to, just to watch all the confused faces, but 18.2D, where a player who is in touch kicks and knocks the ball but does not hold it, provided it has not reached across the plane of touch.
Yeah, nice.
Just because I think if we get that in a club game, we're going to have about 40-odd people really confused about what's happened, except for the bloke that's probably picked it up and gone and score a try.
And I think with Sam's AI, he could probably bring that law across the screen so everyone knows what we're talking about, especially from our Hungarian or Russian followers that we have.
Yeah. You had that, and you were on the other touchline though, weren't you, Sean, in an NPC game last year, didn't you? And it kind of blew up a bit because some former rugby players were losing their minds that had happened.
Yeah, it was a confusing one, but hearing the TMO on the day explaining it made a lot of sense because I wasn't too sure what had happened. Down at Aotearoa in Wellington, they didn't have a big screen, so we're just kind of like awkwardly acting like we're looking at a big screen at a TMO decision, but we're just looking at a grass hill. And so I wasn't sure what I was looking at. But it's funny you mentioned that because I actually saw and bumped into Kelly Lasanga, who was the Bay of Plenty player that had knocked it back in. And, he just regrets it 100%. He's just like, why did I not just let it go out? Because ultimately him knocking it back in caused or allowed Wellington to actually pick it up and just score a try. Confusing one for people that don't understand it, but it's an interesting law.
Definitely a unique one that probably doesn't, even to us referees, kind of really make a whole lot of sense. And then to the viewership just goes, they have no idea why it exists. So when you see it, it'd be interesting if you ever get in a club game.
Nice. That's probably our most specific law of the week that we've had so far. This is episode 10, so you definitely get the award for specificity of law, like even having the law reference. That's nice.
I didn't even have to look it up either. I knew that right off the top of my head.
Jeez, mate. Auckland is showing us up. Yeah.
We'll get there. A few of us know what we're doing. Haven't met one yet, but I'm sure there is.
Nice. And so we've got our Whistler of the Week, and I realised that we didn't even talk about this. This is probably about the third time that we've done this. We've got to our Whistler of the Week and haven't figured it out. So anyone got anyone they think's worthy of this prize?
No, I don't go. I'll just take a stab in the dark here. But obviously we've got James on, who came to Bay of Plenty with his Interchange. We also got to give a shout out to like Matt Estel and Marine, who went up to counties, and John Hoyle and Eli, who went up to Auckland. So obviously they filled in the form of the expression of interest to go away, and they were lucky enough to head away on would hopefully be a good interchange. We talked about it a little bit at our Monday night meeting in Tauranga and got their stories from the weekend. So Eli's was a little bit better than everyone else's, I think, from the aftermatch. And
yeah. And I think we're going to have Eli next week, I think, because then he can definitely tell us his interchange story, and not just his game, which now he's a viral TikTok sensation, but also the aftermatch and things. I think he's definitely worth getting him on next week.
Yeah, and I think Auckland looked after him quite well when they took them to a Blues game Saturday night. So just off that, obviously we've got James in, so I think our Whistlers off the week can go to those four who went away and hopefully represented our club very well in those unions.
Nice. Yeah, good job. Thanks, Jamie, for saving us again, and that's a note to self to make sure that we actually talk about it before next time. So the week ahead, we'll just try to save this train wreck. So we've got our seventh round day of the Baywide comp. So I think it's the last team in Prem has their bye this week, don't they? I think everyone's had it once they've had it. You've got Women's Premier, Junior, schools all underway before next week's the long weekend where there's not so much rugby, but a big one this weekend. So Sean, you got a game, mate?
You'd be surprised, but I actually do.
Nice.
I'm heading down to a Portsky Opo versus Tupuna, so yeah, should be a pretty good game actually. I'm quite looking forward to that one. Opo home game,
and really targeting that game, I think, because they haven't had many home games in this round, but it means that probably next round almost all their games are going to be at home, I think.
Yeah, I was actually looking at that, and it looks like they have quite a few back-to-back home games, which is great for them. So yeah, looking forward to that one. It's obviously they were, I think the first year I started was their last year in the Prem comp, and I never got to AR for them, so this will be the first time I've been involved with their Premier side. So looking forward to it.
No, they're going good.
How about you, Jimmy?
Yeah, man, I got a Colts game this week, so I think it's Tauranga Sports versus Te Puke, 1 o'clock on Saturday. So looking forward to it. I'll give a shout out to our mate Brando Roberts in Counties Manukau.
Games.
Come out on social media. We heard last week that he 100th Premier game up in Counties this weekend. So, mate, I know you're a big time listener. I don't know if that's true or not, but
good
shout out to him, and 100 games on the whistle, mate, in the Premier fixtures. So go well. Hopefully it's a big night up there on Saturday night. James, over to you, mate. What's happening in Auckland this weekend?
I've actually got the weekend off. I'm off to Aussie on Friday. I've got my cousin's wedding up in Queensland. So I've got a couple of weeks break. I don't think there's much, if any, footy over King's birthday either. Couple of weeks away from the whistle. How about yourself, Sam?
Yeah, I'm in Greerton. So I've got Greerton and Mount, so that should be a pretty good game. And so so hopefully there's no rain down in the swamp. But should be good. Hopefully a bit of a tight game. Yeah, so see how that goes. And yeah, good to get a Prem game. So Jamie, you talked a little bit about it earlier. So what are we covering next week in the education sessions around the traps?
Sorry, mate. Just looking at my weather app, it's meant to pour down thunderstorms on Friday night.
Actually,
good luck to you. No, it's not. It's meant to be cloudy all week.
I was going to say, I was like...
So your session on Monday for our Western Bay crew is the management pillar of our scrum. If Sean's around. Sean, you working on Monday?
No, I'm not.
Mate, we just found our person that's going to deliver that management part of that scrum. Very good. Thank you. Some points for your team because the card counters are on the bottom and they need the points.
I might get called in, I'll see.
Yeah, you're like working, talking about scrum management, which way?
Yeah. But no, that's the session for Monday, dear team. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, get along to a meeting and get along to the Western Bay one if you haven't got your T-shirt yet. Saw some chat on social media from Peter Hastings wondering where you got a shirt, and he was quite quickly told by Ian that he better come to a Monday night meeting and he might get one. So in classic Ian fashion, I'm surprised he didn't chuck and put your availability in as well. So anyway, nice. I think that's about us, I think we just need to put this to an end. So thanks for joining us, James. It's usually a lot more professional than this, but Sean's just bring it down. But thanks for everyone who's still listening, which you're probably not anymore, but for joining us on the Bay of Plenty Referee podcast. And so you can catch us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, or at a weekly meeting. And feel free to reach out to jamie.bell@boprugby.co.nz with any questions, comments, complaints, or guest ideas. And like the kids say, click, share, and subscribe. And whistle well, team. Kia ora.
See you, team.
See ya.
See you, team. Thanks for having us.